How far would you go to recover something lost at the bottom of the ocean? What if that something belonged to your enemy, buried miles beneath the surface, in waters so deep that not even light can reach them? And what if the stakes were nothing less than global domination in the middle of the Cold War? Today, we dive into one of the most secretive, audacious, and bizarre missions ever undertaken by the CIA. Project Azorian, an operation so secret that it took nearly 30 years before the world even got a glimpse of the truth. But to truly grasp the magnitude of this mission, we have to go back to the height of the Cold War, when paranoia between the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, was at its peak. And buried beneath that paranoia, an arms race of unprecedented scale. At the heart of this arms race, hidden from the public eye, was the submarine. Both sides were engaged in a deadly game of cat and mouse beneath the ocean's surface. Submarines weren't just weapons, they were platforms of intelligence gathering, surveillance, and the ultimate threat, nuclear annihilation. And in 1968, one Soviet submarine would become the spark for one of the CIA's most expensive, complex, and mind-boggling covert operations. The K-129, a Soviet ballistic missile submarine, armed with nuclear warheads, was on a routine patrol in the Pacific Ocean when it suddenly disappeared. No distress signal, no clue as to what went wrong, just gone. The Soviet Navy, desperate to locate its missing sub, launched a massive search operation across the Pacific. But after weeks of scouring the waters, the K-129 was nowhere to be found. It was as if the ocean had swallowed it whole. But while the Soviets were coming up empty-handed, the United States was watching and listening. US intelligence, equipped with their network of underwater listening devices, known as SOSUS, had detected the exact moment the K-129 vanished. The Sound Surveillance System, or SOSUS, was a web of underwater hydrophones designed to pick up low-frequency sounds, such as the propellers of enemy submarines. It wasn't designed to pinpoint exact locations, but could estimate the general area of any sound disturbance deep underwater. And in the case of K-129, SOSUS picked up a massive implosion, an underwater catastrophe that was unmistakable. They knew its approximate location, deep down in the Pacific Ocean, 3 miles below the surface. This was an opportunity the CIA simply couldn't resist. K-129 wasn't just any submarine. This was a Soviet sub packed with state secrets, encrypted communications, nuclear weapons, and crucially, the Soviet Union's cryptographic systems. In the eyes of the US military and intelligence agencies, this sunken vessel was a treasure trove. If they could get their hands on it, they could unlock some of the Soviet Union's most sensitive military secrets. But there was one tiny, enormous problem. The submarine lay at a depth of over 16,000 feet. To put that in perspective, that's about the same height as the Himalayas, but inverted beneath the sea. The pressure at such depths is incomprehensible. It's so intense that any conventional equipment would be crushed like a soda can. The water pressure is over 7,000 pounds per square inch. To lift anything from that depth was physically impossible with the technology of the time. No nation had ever attempted anything like this before. Or so it seemed. And that's where the CIA came in. Enter Project Azorian. This top-secret mission was launched to do the impossible: raise the Soviet submarine from the ocean floor without anyone noticing. But how do you pull something like this off when the Soviet Union is watching your every move? The answer, as it turns out, would require the most elaborate cover story in CIA history, and the help of one of the richest men in the world. Howard Hughes, the eccentric billionaire, was known for his wealth, his reclusive nature, and his ventures in aviation and engineering. Hughes had always been a man of intrigue, living in isolation and obsessed with cutting-edge technology. But in 1970, Hughes became involved in something far stranger. The CIA approached Hughes with a proposal. They needed a ship, a massive ship, capable of lifting thousands of tons from the ocean floor. Hughes agreed to help, and in exchange, the project would be disguised as one of his own ventures. This ship would be known as the Glomar Explorer, and its official purpose, deep-sea mining. Hughes announced that his engineers were developing revolutionary new technology to mine valuable manganese nodules from the ocean floor. The press ate it up. News outlets around the world reported on Hughes's bold new endeavor. The Soviets were curious, but not overly suspicious. As far as they knew, Hughes was just being Hughes, a brilliant, if eccentric entrepreneur on another wild venture. But in reality, the Glomar Explorer was far more than a mining ship. It was a state-of-the-art recovery vessel designed specifically to retrieve the K-129 wreckage. The ship was outfitted with massive claws, like something out of a science fiction movie, and a gigantic winch system capable of lifting the broken submarine from miles below the ocean surface. This engineering feat was unprecedented. But building the equipment wasn't the only challenge. There was one key problem: how to do this without the Soviets realizing what was happening, and that was no small task. As the Glomar Explorer sailed toward the wreck site, Soviet surveillance ships, or trawlers, were constantly in the area. These ships were equipped with various sensors, cameras, and communication devices to monitor American naval activity. They knew the Americans were up to something, but they had no idea what. As far as the Soviets were concerned, Hughes was just digging up minerals. It was the perfect cover. But despite the cover story, tensions were high. Any misstep, any sign of what the Glomar Explorer was truly up to, and the Soviets could catch on. And if they did, the consequences could be catastrophic. Now, the most difficult part of the mission was about to begin. As the massive claws of the Glomar Explorer descended into the pitch-black waters, the crew knew they had one shot at this. They were navigating blind in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. The ocean's bottom is a place of crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures, and utter darkness. After days of careful maneuvering, the claws finally latched onto the wreckage of the K-129. Slowly, carefully, they began to lift the massive broken sub off the ocean floor. Every inch was painstakingly slow. The slightest error could cause the wreck to disintegrate under its own weight, or worse, alert the Soviets to the true nature of the mission. Everything was going according to plan, until disaster struck. Midway through the ascent, something gave way. The submarine, too heavy, too fragile, began to break apart. A large section of the wreckage, including the nuclear missiles, fell back to the ocean floor. It was a catastrophic blow to the mission. But all was not lost. The CIA had managed to recover a significant portion of the K-129, including bodies of Soviet sailors, and possibly some of the classified cryptographic equipment they were after. The crew held a burial at sea for the recovered Soviet sailors, a quiet, somber moment in the midst of this massive covert operation. It was an unexpected and solemn part of the mission, paying respects to fallen enemies whose deaths had remained a secret, even from their own government. The real question, however, is, did the CIA achieve its objective? What exactly did they recover from the wreckage? Project Azorian remained one of the CIA's best-kept secrets until the 1990s. For decades, the world had no idea that this elaborate mission had taken place. When the story finally broke, it was hailed as one of the most ambitious covert operations in history. The mission's complexity, combined with the Cold War stakes, made it a story like no other. And while much of the operation's details remain classified, what we do know is this: Project Azorian pushed the limits of what was possible, technologically, strategically, and covertly. It was a mission that combined cutting-edge engineering with Cold War espionage, wrapped in a cover story so elaborate that it fooled the entire world. In the end, Project Azorian wasn't just a mission to recover a lost submarine. It was a testament to the lengths that nations will go in the shadowy world of intelligence. A story of ambition, secrecy, and innovation, buried deep beneath the waves, where few will ever see the light of truth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most secretive missions, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more Cold War secrets, and comment below. What do you think the CIA really recovered from the ocean floor?